to ensure that we don't lay people off, to ensure that we hold our obligations, to make sure that we continue to make sure that we invest in housing and youth employment and mental health and safety. That is why this budget currently includes a property tax increase of $300 million to fund and keep our commitment to fund not just our pension contributions, but to fund the future of our city. When it came down to either mass layoffs, curbing vital city services, or an increase in property taxes, I would certainly much rather tax the rich. But I did have to make the choice to increase our property taxes. And I understand that today I'm asking families to lean in yet again and do a little bit more in order to make sure that their neighbors are not laid off and to make sure that we don't have to cut vital city services. I know that across the city, working families make tough decisions every day. God knows that I do. And whether it's the cost of childcare, or paying utilities, certainly I know the challenge of paying utilities. And even going grocery shopping and buying food for our families, I know adding to those tough choices is not easy. But this was the best option that I have at this time.
I disagree. I tend to think that the best option for Brandon Johnson and Chicago and the aldermen was to actually not participate as a sanctuary city, but to align themselves with Republican states and cities to say that we need to shore up our border and make sure that we're not letting in people illegally while at the same time taxing the citizens more and then divesting your resources in order to make sure that these people is taken care of. It's so funny because literally a month ago, I just talked about how Chicago signed another, not the first, another $100 million staffing contract to ensure that they continue to serve migrants, and we don't even know who the owner of these companies are. Give yourselves a round of applause for everybody that is in Chicago or any of these urban cities that is in chaos and turmoil right now prior to election season. I'm talking about New York. I'm talking about Chicago. I'm talking about Oakland. I'm talking about Denver. I'm talking about Houston. All of these places that allocated monies, your tax dollars, to take care of people that never put into the tax system. And now it is affecting small town after small town after small town after small town across the United States of America. Give yourselves a round of applause for voting in people who I personally said it made no sense whatsoever for you guys to let into office, especially right after Lori Lightfoot had did a number on y'all prior to him, and he was going to be 10 times worse. Give yourselves a round of applause. They're still facing a $942 million budget deficit come 2025. They're still facing a $250 million deficit in 2024. And now he's doing the very thing that he told y'all that he wouldn't do, which is raise property taxes. That is the thing that he ran on. He ran on no higher property taxes, even though last cycle they had already raised property taxes in Cook County. And then they're going to raise it again, and you're going to have to dig into your pockets. And you know what he wanted to do? You know what he wanted to say? You know what he tried to do? He wants to then levy more taxes on people that are the employers that is basically fleeing the state of Chicago, fleeing the state of Illinois, and fleeing the city of Chicago. They have a vacancy rate that is out of control right there in the the Miracle Mile. They have migrants that are fighting each other in front of there. They're merging shelters to have homeless and migrants now become one. With the power of one, they're forming together like Voltron. And you, the taxpayer, we told you, we warned you, and then I also told y'all that, listen, I don't know if y'all really understand, but y'all are the ones that's going to be paying for this. You can't tax your way to success. You have to work within your own budget to do the things that is best for the people in the city. And I'm telling you, this is the reason why you can't have school teachers become mayors of cities that have multi-billion-dollar budgets. And then at the same time, he's adding more into what it is that they're pouring into migrants. They've reportedly spent close to $1 billion on the migrant crisis. You still have over 50 aldermen in the city of Chicago. Hey, somebody just turn the lights off. Last person to leave, turn the lights off, because I've already seen this story. I've seen this story. I've seen it play out from the Coleman A. Young administration all the way up until 2008, when Detroit, the city that I live in, the city that I love, the city that is on a comeback, and we're actually growing in population. I've seen this play out time and time again, and so the writing is on the wall. You have less revenue, more crime, less police officers from people that advocated to defund the police, so he's against the safety of the people. You have people getting robbed. They call it Chirac for a reason. Even y'all rappers is absolutely capitalizing off of what is the best thing that's promoted in the black culture over in Chicago. And you have a person that would rather be on agenda than do the thing that's in the best interest of the people. And people are absolutely suffering. Did you know that Chicago was a city that had one of the highest property taxes already? So even if you own your home, you're not going to be able to stay in it, because if you have a 30-year mortgage, your property taxes is going to go up. And if you don't pay your property taxes, guess what? They coming to get your house. I had a woman on my show on the Millionaire Morning Show just last Monday. And she was telling us about everything that's happening, about how they're scheming to take your homes over in Chicago. It is horrible. Please miss me with the BS and asking me to no longer report on Chicago and the degeneracy that's happening, not only with the criminals, but also with the local politicians, because I tend to think that they're one and the same. Please miss me with the degeneracy that's happening in this city, because I no longer want to hear anything from anybody as far as having a conversation with me about how I should not talk about what is going on with Chicago, when you see it with your own eyes and it's playing out exactly how we predicted. And you know, the most beautiful thing about it is that he still got years in office. You can't get him out of there. He's just going to run a city into the ground, and it's absolutely going to become one of the worst cities in the United States of America, if it's not already. Miss me with the sob story. This is the way that y'all voted. You deserve it. Don't complain about it. Deal with it. It's the same thing that's happening on a lower level with Tiffany Henyard, Shane Tao over there in Oakland, Karen Bass over there in LA, Mike Johnston over there in Denver, and Eric Adams over in New York. Y'all sold yourselves out by voting these people in office that's doing exactly what they said that they was going to do, and they putting you under duress, they causing you more money, and they selling you on the idea that we're going to make the rich pay even more in order to make sure that y'all doing the things that's wrong for y'all instead of balancing the budget. I say suffer with them. I say suffer with them. Straight up. Now you got to pay more for the services that's inadequate already. How does that feel? How does it feel that you're voting for your own demise in these urban hellholes that's already bad as it is? Every day I get stories sent to me from people in my email that say, Anton, this is what's happening in Chicago. These people is getting carjacked and they running them up. These businesses is getting torn into. It's more than a 2,000 police officer shortage. They just had the Democratic National Convention there and had Planned Parenthood pulling up to the Democratic National Convention. Every day I get the same story after story after story after story. So many stories that I got to pick and choose which ones, because I got a limited amount of time and I got to pick which ones I even want to have a conversation about. At one point, we did a 2-month straight story on Chicago that basically detailed how bad y'all legislators are. At the same time, J.B. Pritzker is like, at least he on board with Kamala Harris. At least he on board with the immigration crisis. And at least you on board voluntarily. Yes, you are. You voted for it, so you're on board. Because you voted for the people to represent you. And for those of y'all that don't participate on the local level, shame on you. Shame on you. You voted blue. And now y'all got Michael Ealy, D.L. Hughley, Ben Crump, and so on and so forth, and Obama at the top of the ticket, shaming you guys. And he don't even visit Chicago except to get his presidential library built. I'm going to shame you guys. What makes you think that you should vote red? Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. If you're not a part of the Patreon and you're not a part of the Discord, the link to the Discord is in the description of the most recent video inside of the Patreon. Go ahead and get in there so you can get your money up and you can pay your property taxes. T. Chanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. Shout out to T. Chanley for continuing to hold us down. And then last but not least, shout out to the people that is coming and kick it with me in Atlanta this weekend, and then the people that's going to kick it with me in Detroit on December 14th, discount code Anton. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. I love you. I appreciate you. Shout out to Chicago. Now.